Look around a room full of people, anywhere on Earth, in any country, in any culture. 9 out of every 10 of them will reach for a cup, sign their name, and throw a ball with the exact same hand, their right one. Now look at any other animal on this planet. Not a single species shows that same pattern. Not chimpanzees, not gorillas, not a single one of your closest living relatives favors one hand the way you do. For over a century, that difference sat quietly at the center of one of evolution's strangest unsolved puzzles, and it was only just solved. You'd think handedness would be simple to explain. Maybe it's tool use, since humans build and craft things constantly. Maybe it's brain wiring related to language, since speech is uniquely human too. Scientists tested theory after theory for decades, and none of them fully held up. A massive new study published this year in the journal PLOS Biology by researchers Thomas Puschel and Rachel Hurwitz at Oxford, working alongside Chris Venditti at the University of Reading, finally cracked it open. And the answer wasn't hiding in your hands at all. It was hiding in how you walk. The team analyzed handedness data from over 2,000 individual primates, spanning 41 different species, from tiny marmosets to massive gorillas. Using statistical modeling that accounts for how species are evolutionarily related to each other, they tested nearly every major theory ever proposed: tool use, diet, habitat, social structure, body size. At first, humans looked like a complete outlier, an evolutionary anomaly that simply didn't fit any of the established patterns seen across the primate family tree. Then, the researchers added 2 more variables into the model: brain size and the ratio between arm length and leg length, a standard biological marker for how committed a species is to walking upright on 2 legs. The moment those 2 factors entered the equation, something remarkable happened. Humans stopped looking like an exception. Have you ever wondered what walking on 2 legs has to do with which hand you write with? Here's the connection. Once early hominins committed to upright walking, their hands were suddenly freed from the demands of locomotion entirely. Other primates still rely heavily on their hands and arms for climbing, balancing, and moving through their environment, which forces a kind of general-purpose symmetry between both hands. But a bipedal hominin's hands had nothing left to do but manipulate objects. That freedom created room for specialization, and specialization, it turns out, tends to lean in one particular direction more often than the other. According to the researchers, this early, modest hand preference likely appeared surprisingly far back in the human family tree, in species like Ardipithecus and Australopithecus. These early ancestors probably showed only a slight rightward lean, not dramatically different from occasional hand preferences seen in modern great apes today. So when did that mild lean turn into the overwhelming 90% dominance you see today? That's where the second variable comes in: brain size. As the genus Homo emerged and brains expanded dramatically, something shifted in how the brain organized itself. The 2 hemispheres of your brain aren't identical twins performing the same tasks in parallel. They specialize. One side tends to take the lead on certain functions, while the other handles different ones entirely. The researchers proposed that as brains grew larger and more complex, this specialization intensified, and the ancient, modest handedness inherited from earlier hominins became locked in, amplified, and pushed toward the extreme population-wide pattern that exists in humans today. In other words, walking upright opened the door. A bigger, more specialized brain kicked it wide open. This raises a genuinely strange question. If handedness comes from freeing your hands through bipedalism, why don't other 2-legged animals show the same pattern? Very few other species walk upright as their primary form of movement the way humans do. Kangaroos hop rather than walk in the way that would free their forelimbs for fine manipulation. Birds fly. The specific combination humans have, consistent upright walking paired with hands built for delicate, complex manipulation, paired again with a rapidly expanding brain, appears to be a combination no other lineage on Earth has ever stumbled into at the same time. It's not that other species couldn't theoretically develop something similar. It's that the exact evolutionary recipe, upright locomotion plus freed hands plus a growing brain, has only ever come together once, in the branch of the primate family tree that eventually became you. Which means your right hand isn't a random personal quirk. It's a fossil, of sorts, a living leftover from a specific evolutionary sequence that started with an ancestor deciding to stand up on 2 legs millions of years ago. The researchers are careful to note this doesn't fully close the book. Genetics, individual development, and cultural pressures throughout history, like the historical practice of forcing left-handed children to switch, still play a role in shaping the exact numbers you see today. But the deep evolutionary architecture underneath all of that, the reason humans lean right at a population level in the first place, now finally has a scientific answer. So the next time you pick up a pen or reach for your coffee or throw something across a room without even thinking about which hand to use, you're not just performing a random habit.
You're using a hand shaped by millions of years of walking upright, and a brain that grew large enough to turn a mild lean into one of the most distinctly human traits on the entire planet. A trait so unique that after decades of searching, scientists had to look at your legs to finally understand your hands.